Hey guys, and welcome to at least part of the very first progression log for Monifactory. Um, this is going to be obviously the part of a larger video, hopefully soonish. I'm currently recording this on the 23rd. It won't be until obviously after Christmas at this point. Anyway, I did want to go ahead and just do like a brief little clip of what the base looks like now at this point in time. We are getting ready to begin moving over to the new base from the horrible lawn base that is our starter base here. It's kind of a mess. I hate this like turbo cursed machine wall. It's the only reason it has enough power is because most of the time it doesn't really even do anything. Thankfully. So So we have now this was nice. It took us like 20 or 30 hours to get this. I have put time played almost 2 days into the server so far. I know Cosmic's put about the same amount of time. So we've got it took us a long time to get here. And we're not even anywhere near to the good base, the new base. And that'll be fun. But I did want to like go ahead and just show off what we've got so far. In that we have, this was like the original sort of machine wall for LV stuff. We just, for batching stuff. Over here was our first MV line that I set up with for the Enderman line for Monifactory, or for the, sorry, not Monifactory, Numistics, using diamonds to make power. And then this was, I set this up at MV machines, and then I've just been kind of mooching off of it for MV power for the rest of all other kinds of things that need to get done. We have a pyrolyze oven here for making phenol and stuff. We got an EBF here we've had forever. I think this is making vibrant alloy. We've been making an absolute monstrous amount of Ender IO cables. A quick note is that I did actually add XNet. That's a optional thing. You don't actually... the server, or I guess I should say, the pack doesn't come with XNet by default. But you can add it and has automatic compatibility. So it's already, you know, Gregified all these recipes. And Gregified they've been. It's kind of atrocious. It's not too bad, but it is a little bit annoying. You do need an MV assembler to make the advanced connectors. But we already have MV machines, so it was like a 2-minute thing. So we can use XNet now. I'm hoping this hasn't been a waste of time and resources, and it'll be useful. We'll have to see. It'll be fine, I'm sure. So yeah, this is the horrible base. Oh, we both have creative flight now. I spent hours doing all the microcrafting for the angel rings. So we both have creative flight, and it's nice. We have some steam machines over here. These are really useful, especially for doing ore processing stuff. They do grinding, and they do parallelization, so it's great for ore processing. And also, this server does actually run when no one's on. And I know this because I've, like, got on, put a bunch of ore in here, and then got off, and then hours later it's all done, like when I get back on and no one's gone. So that'll be interesting to deal with. That'll be a new challenge, I think. I thought ATM9 ran like that, but it didn't in the end, and it seems like this server does. Or this pack does, at least. More massive drawer walls of... This was where we had all our stuff before we were working... Before we had AE2, and now we do, and so we moved most of the garbage over there. It's a horrible start, and we definitely could have done this a whole lot better, but this was our first time with either of us attempting early Greg, at least myself. You know, not being able to just crutch on AE2 and mechanism for infinite resources like I did in ATM9. Going over here for the new base, this is what the palette is. If you guys recognize the style, it's antimatter chemistry again. Okay. Look, I really liked antimatter chemistry. Look, I had fun on my ATM9 base, but I liked my AMC base a lot more. I thought it was a much better base in terms of aesthetics. AMC base, the ATM9 base did have some nice things that I liked about it, especially the watchtowers, that verticality there. And we plan to work some more verticality into this base later on. Obviously, we already have. This is like the center room where the controller is going to be. Down here we have some stairs, and then we have a little lookout over here over the canyon. We're going to be the base is going to be like crisscrossing the canyon and stuff. We're going to be building a bridge over there, probably over there somewhere. I think we're thinking about building like a true command tower over here at some point, and the base will kind of probably spread all around. The controller will stay where it is but the base will sprawl out as needed. Um, so we're building in the overworld again. We could be building in the void if we really wanted to, but I don't really feel like building in the void. If we really, really have to, I'm sure we'll move to the void, but I don't, at least for now, it's not going to be a problem. So we have over here, this is where the generators are going to be. This is our generator hall. We wanted to set out plenty of space over here for when it inevitably comes time to do GregTech power. Right now we're still in the early game, and for a while you can just rely on new mystics, which is what we'll be doing. But eventually you won't be able to do that anymore. So we either build nuclear craft reactors here or GregTech combustion engines here or something. I don't know. We'll figure that out when the time comes. Eventually, at the very, very end, you run, like, once you get tank or whatever, which we're going to... hopefully, we're going to complete the pack. That's our goal, is to complete the pack. Yeah, so the goal is to complete the pack. Eventually, we'll have, like, Naquita reactors or something like that, and that'll be our endgame power. Over here, we have... machine walls for where we're going to put some HNN stuff, setting up, diamonds and all that good stuff. One of these walls is probably going to be working on setting up, making all the pulsating prediction matrices or whatever, and then one with some simulators and stuff, and probably some loop fabs here as well. Just so you are aware, we've decided that we are partially chunk aligning this base. As in, this over here is chunk aligned, and this isn't. We've decided that in newer versions of GregTech, you don't really need to chunk align multi-blocks. That was a problem that happened very early on in GregTech, and that's been solved at this point, from what I've been told. Even GTNH has solved that problem, given that they have, in the newest versions, apparently they have multi-blocks that are larger than a chunk. So I would assume they have to have solved that at some point. So we've decided that if we really, really need to, if we're building like really massive GregTech multi-blocks, and we are kind of nervous about it, or, with like nuclear craft reactors or whatever, if we really feel like, if we're nervous about that, we can always chunk align like I did in AMC. The base generally was not chunk aligned, but when it came to nuclear craft, I then chunk aligned that, for example. So if that happens, if we do need to do chunk aligning, we can, but I think for the most part, we're not going to do that. That may come back to bite us in the ass, but again, while the parts of the base, if we do find a setup that does need to be chunk aligned, then we'll just chunk align it then. But for now, it's going to be not chunk aligned. We're not really going to care about it too much. I'm really enjoying this block palette, by the way. I've been running through this base. It's obviously, somewhat similar, and, we have basalt here again. From like an ATM now, we had a bunch of basalt. But I really enjoyed this base so far. We'll have to see how I feel about it if I put more and more time into it. But I spent several hours, building the base. This actually is the second block palette. You guys never even saw the first one. The first version had, instead of these red terracottas here, it was actually glass. We had 2 lines of glass, and in the center it was chiseled sandstone, or engraved sandstone. And before, this was 2 by 3 chunks, so out here was also part of the generator room. And the huge floor, it was tiled like it was ATM9, where it was like that glass sort of tile. It was very similar to that, and we used a bunch of this stuff. And at first, I thought I liked it, like that palette, the color a lot. And one of the reasons why I wanted to use it is obviously there's plenty of sandstone around. It's smooth sandstone, so you still have to like turn it into. That's what the up here is for. You have to crush it to sand and then compact it back to red sandstone, so you can chisel it into this stuff. But after I had built this whole area out, and it was just like 6 giant pads of orange, I figured out that I really hated it. I did not like it in the slightest. So we had to swap around some block palettes. And I also pulled out right here was a different kind of sandstone. It was red sandstone. It was this like stacked slab stuff. Where is it? Right here. Yeah, stacked redstone bricks. It was like that, but I didn't like it. And now you guys can see that the behind the glass is very similar. I'm basically building my ATM9 base again. Or sorry, my antimatter chemistry base again. It's effectively the same exact structure with very similar, with like even behind the glass is the same block palette with glowstone there as well. Um, it's the same base again with hopefully more verticality this time. Also, you guys have noticed there's no center overhead cable, like there was in 8, because we've actually um, built a wiring tunnel. I have prepared space for a wiring tunnel. Um, so we'll run cables and stuff down here. I did overhead cables in both Mechanical Mastery, Antimatter Chemistry, and all the mods 9. And that's like, I don't know, 800 hours, almost 900 hours of overhead cabling. And I thought it would be nice to try something new. So I wouldn't have to worry about overhead cabling. It did obviously make it very nice, but it also made it kind of ugly sometimes. And I'd like to hide as much of that stuff as possible. And overhead does feel a little bit empty right now, and maybe that's like the biggest difference I'm feeling with this. So maybe I'll throw something like something overhead anyway, just so I have that like it's like agoraphobic, right? Where you're afraid of this. I'm afraid of not having a center line in the base. Makes it feel like it's empty maybe. But it'll be fun. Obviously this is a multiplayer server and Cosmic's playing with me again. Maybe some other people will join over time. We'll have to see. She went to go play something else. She got tired of the Greg. Don't worry, she'll be back eventually. The Greg has consumed the both of us, obviously. I mean, we put like between the two of us probably already 100 hours into the server, and we're nowhere near done. Nowhere. We haven't even really started. If I'm gonna be real with you guys here. So we've put a lot of time in here. We haven't really gone anywhere. So if I had to make a guess, I think we're probably gonna be here in Monifactory for a combined 1,000 hours. At least. I'd be shocked if it was less than 1,000 hours between the two of us. Yeah, so that's the overall base. So yeah, this is actually the first time I'm talking to you guys while I have graduated from college. Obviously, some of you guys may have seen the community posts, but it was the 19th, 17th. It was last Thursday. Today's Monday, so it would have been a couple days ago, like 4-5 days ago, at this point, that I walked across the stage and I got my diploma. I have a bachelor's in aerospace engineering. Yeah, so I'm done with college now, so that's interesting. I'm sure I'll talk about that more in the coming weeks, over time, as I've had a lot to think about that, like being done with college, like. I don't know, like, it's kind of sad that I'm done, but I'm also happy that I'm done. I really liked a great deal of college. I enjoyed many parts of it, and I also didn't enjoy many parts of it as well. Like the studying and the homework and just the stress of it. Like I won't miss the exam turbo stress where it feels like every 6 weeks the sky is falling down. I won't hate that. I won't miss I hate that, and I won't miss that. But I also do miss, like, I don't know, like I miss parts of college. I mean, obviously I've only been out of college for like a week, and this is normally a time where I would have been on winter break anyway, even if I was in college, so it probably hasn't really sunken in yet. So I'm sure I'll be talking about this in the coming weeks and months, as I begin search for a job as well. That's something I'm gonna have to do, which is, I can no longer ignore that. It is what it is. But yeah. So I don't want to have this take too long here, given that this is only supposed to be a short clip of a progression log. I don't know when I'm gonna post the progression log. It probably won't be the Sunday after I record this, as I don't have anything else to do. So I want to be doing this a lot. So I might post earlier than that. We'll have to see. You guys obviously will know. I don't know yet. Alright, so that's it from me for now. Obviously, you're hearing me not now. Well, you now, not mine now. Alright, guys. Well, I will go ahead and sign off here. Hey guys, and welcome to the first progression log of Monifactory. It's now the 27th, so you guys will see or perhaps you guys have already seen an earlier clip of the base in an earlier state. It's still not exactly where I would like it to be for this current progression log, but I have realized that attempting to get all of it done and skipping straight to MV is kind of a lot for a single progression log, and I do kind of want to get this out fairly soon. I am excited to play, and I kind of want to, get this series started, or the progression log series started. So I guess we'll go ahead over the old base, and this is the old terrible lawn base that we had set up for a while. This used to be the HNN line with, setting up, doing pulsating prediction matrices for diamonds, then to run a pneumatic dynamo for power. And I should probably just turn this off. There we go. I kind of gutted it for all its very machines and cables and stuff that I've placed elsewhere. Yeah, pyrolyzed oven over here still. We haven't really moved too much of the stuff from over here. Generally, this is probably going to be here for a while. This just runs off the classic, SNAD. I love SNAD. With redstone, and then just tapping it, using pistons to break it. Vacuum chest that goes into a voiding drawer. For a while, I was turning it off and on, so it wouldn't overflow and put a bajillion items everywhere. And then I just realized I can just throw a voiding upgrading on it, and then just leave it on all the time. Like I said, this place is a little bit of a mess. So this is our smeltery right here. We just have 2 diamond furnaces. Yeah, we used to have we got 82 like 40-ish hours in. Oh, I moved that to over here. This is new. This wasn't in the other clip that'll you either have seen or will see. I don't know. I haven't made the video yet. I don't know where it's gonna fit in. But this is like for handcrafting for batch stuff. Originally I was gonna put it somewhere else, and then I decided there wasn't really enough room over there for it, so it'd have to get split between 2 different areas. And then it was just kind of like, why do it there? So I like this base. I've been enjoying my time here. Obviously, if I didn't, I'd rebuild it. It wouldn't be the first time that this is the second palette, like I mentioned, or will mention in the clip. I find that the only base that I've managed to get in one go, recently was ATM9. And that palette was chosen pretty early on, and I was very happy with that palette and how I built that base out. But that was a much simpler design, I think. It didn't really have walls, and I wasn't really too interested in caring about aesthetics that much. And now I really want to care about aesthetics. I enjoyed ATM9, but I do want a nice looking base. I constantly did miss the walls from Any Manner Chemistry. And Any Manner Chemistry, that palette was actually the second version. The first version was actually, you guys even saw that one. You guys never saw the first version of this palette. But we have the HNN line over here, and I added XNet to this version of the pack. It has automatic compatibility, so everything is all Gregified. So there's no making cheap item movers here. It's all kind of miserable. It's not too bad. But it does require you to get MV for the advanced connectors. But by the time we were messing around with XNet, we already had the MV assembler. Oh wait, no, we already in MV, and all I had to do was make the MV assembler, and it wasn't too bad because I could just pull Resonant Ender from the HNN pulsating prediction matrix line. So yeah, it wasn't too bad, and I've made a bunch of them, and it's worked out so far pretty well. I haven't had any issues with it. Last time in ATM9, I had a bunch of issues with XNet, where it's to the point where I just flat out stopped using it. And I never really quite figured out why that was a problem, and I hope it won't be a problem here. It is the same version of Minecraft, and it should be the same version of the mod. I'm kind of hoping that whatever changes was made to it to make it Gregified fixes that problem. But the issues that I had with XNet and ATM9 were very inconsistent. And the only thing I could ever think of that would actually cause those issues was it was on some of the mechanism machines, specifically the mechanism enrichers. And I had 2 connectors on those things. I never put 2 connectors on anything else, so maybe that was the problem, and I will just refrain from placing multiple connectors on a single machine, and we'll see if I ever have a problem that way. I don't think it'll be too much of a problem, but we'll have to see. There is laser I/O in this pack, but I don't want to use laser. I use laser I/O for like 400 hours in ATM9, and as useful it was very useful, very effective. But I am tired of having to click 4,000 times to filter one thing, because you also need to worry about the actual cards and stuff too, and that's a pain in the ass. Oh wow, there's actually a reason for nans in this pack if you want to use item cards. That's interesting. Um, yeah, like in ATM9, I never made the higher tier ULV circuits because I never needed them for anything. Um, yeah, so this is basically what's over here. I was gonna put like the batch hand stuff over here, but it wasn't enough space for all the different machines that we needed, and it kind of encroached on this over here, so I left it for now. There's still a bunch of things that we have to do here, like, not in this specific area. This all works. I'm talking about like base progression in general. We need like gases, and in ATM9 that was very, very easy. For a long time we were just converting mechanism gas into GregTech gas, and that worked for up until the point where we could just do massive amounts of ore processing. Because by that point, I had set up mechanism, and we had mystical agriculture, and we were turbo rich, and it wasn't a problem. Here, that is not the case. Let me tell you, experiencing early game GregTech was an experience. Yeah. Not having AE2 for like 40 hours sucks, but it makes you really appreciate Planet Logistics a lot more. And I'm not alone on this server either. Cosmic, well, she's not here right now. She's been helping me out. She's been playing too. So we didn't. I think between the two of us, it was like 40 or 50 hours of gameplay or something like that. It might have been longer. It took us a lot. It was a mess, but we got there in the end. So we're doing all right. Yeah, so our drives are not too full. I had to add some more. We just got 4Ks right now. We're sort of kind of wealthy here in terms of some things and not in others. We're doing all right on most things, I think, at this point, besides a few things here. Yeah, we need to get more copper and stuff too. I do want to set up ore processing, but for example, we don't have polyethylene. I literally handcrafted a bunch in a single chemical reactor, so I can make some better diodes for more MV circuits. And let me tell you, that fucking sucks. It really, really is not fun. It's really, really bad. Oh, I think I have some more over here. Oh, I do. Nice. Barrels, my beloved, especially like the steel ones. Oh man. Anyway, just batching some more of these MV boards. So we're moving along. I'm hoping to set up polyethylene somewhat soon. The problem is to set up polyethylene, you need a bunch of other stuff. We're gonna need like some distillation stuff. You can make it through like sulfuric acid and ethanol, and this is how you make it originally, I think. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to like distill biomass or something. This is like a pain in the ass because a lot of the stuff is made from a pyrolyze oven. I guess you can make it in a brewery, but you get a lot more of it if you make it in a pyrolyze oven. We could try and grow kelp, I guess, potatoes or something. So hopefully soon we can get to, like HV distillery stuff. I'm hoping it won't be too bad, but I know we need a lot of stainless steel for that stuff. And stainless steel is, if it's anything like ATM9, horribly obnoxious. Okay. Let's see. Is there a better recipe? Yeah, if we use liquid nitrogen, it's quick. If we use nitrogen, it's quicker. I think we have some nitrogen. I know you can centrifuge air for nitrogen. It's not as good as doing liquid air. But I think I think this EBF is running it. Yeah, there it is. Cosmic set up like a little like bootleg gas collector separator thing down here. So we can probably run some stainless steel through here for a little bit, maybe. I don't know. We have to do a lot of different things. And I'm not exactly sure where to start. Like, for example, like, where do I get oxygen from? Like, you can get oxygen gas from the centrifuge. We can centrifuge air for a little bit of it, but it's very slow. Like, we'll run it at MV and it's still 40 seconds per bucket. So it's not super great, but it is quote-unquote free, I guess. We'll have to run some gas collectors, but that's not too bad. And we're going to need those for, like, liquid air eventually anyway. You can also just electrolyze like a ton of different ores, like a ton of different dusts will give you oxygen. And most of them are done at MV, or I don't think there's anything that needs to be done at HV for most of these things. Um, so, but that would require me setting up, like ore processing and stuff, and then I have to ask questions about like how robust do I want this ore processing system to be? Because if the more time I spend on it, the less likely I am, or, the longer I'm going to want to be able to use it before having to revamp it. And at this point, I don't really think we're wealthy enough to really justify a significant ore processing system. I don't even think we could build a significant ore processing system at this stage. So I'm not sure if it would, like, what we could afford now wouldn't be helpful, in my opinion. So I'm not exactly sure where we're going to get oxygen and hydrogen from as well. I mean, we can electrolyze water for that. Uh, Technical water. That's weird. So we can electrolyze that. Where is that? You can get 2 buckets of hydrogen and 1 bucket of oxygen, and then you have to work. But with that case, I have to worry about like voiding overflow and which ones. But the problem is, if I'm voiding overflow, then it's constantly running, which isn't like great, I guess, because it wastes power. But we're doing okay on power now. We have 9. Well, I guess 10. I think we have actually. I just have that extra one over here. So we have 9 pneumatics right now. None of them are upgraded, so we can upgrade them, and then it won't be too bad either. So we're kind of okay on power, I guess. So that might be a solution, just running an electrolyzer forever. It wouldn't be a great solution, I think. I kind of want to think of something better, but I'm not sure if there is something better at this stage in the game. Like I said, or like I mentioned at ATM 9, or Threefold said this as well, is that Greg Tech Base is, in a constant state of change. And they are they're in a constant state of change, and it's also Greg Tech is about a balance of like what you can afford versus it's all about cutting corners and figuring out what corners you can cut. Like if you cut a corner somewhere else, it means you can go harder in somewhere else. Is a thing. So you have to figure out where you want to put your limited resources to, where you want to put your time to. It's all a resource management in the end. And you're managing a lot of different resources from your time, effort, like the physical items you use to craft these things, the effort required to clear space for new setups, even just building the base. So I have to figure out what corners I can cut before, the whole thing falls apart. I hope that makes sense. So I think ore processing is going to wait for now. I might revamp, like over here, our current quote-unquote ore processing is like manually moving between this like doubling around with this grinder, and then moving it to this centrifuge over here, and then manually smelting this stuff. Like we have a bunch of magnetite here now, so I can electrolyze this for oxygen for a little while, and that'll be good for at least a little bit. But it's not a sustainable source at this point, unless I want to keep going mining. And I want to limit mining as much as possible, just so, when we get more efficient ways of mining and processing ore, we have some nearby. I haven't done too much prospecting on this computer. So like I used to actually have all this stuff prospected out. I discharged quite a significant, a noticeable portion of the HV prospector they give you. And I'll have to figure out how to charge that. We'll need HV for that. I don't think it'll be too much of a problem going forward, but I don't know. So I'm trying to limit mining as much as I can, just so I don't exhaust all the nearby veins and stuff. We do have creative flight, and I do have waypoints and stuff. So going a long distance wouldn't be too bad. Yeah, so I think it'll probably be fine. Anyway, I do want sustainable systems. It doesn't require me manually, going out and mining a bunch. But we'll figure it out. I'm definitely gonna, if without a significant ore processing system like I had in ATM9, that was such a nice ore processing system, and it should have been, because I spent like 40 hours on it. And I want to do a better job this time. There were a lot of improvements I could have made on it, that I will make on it, so I don't need to use external item movers like laser IO like I did there. And I want to try and not have to use XNet either. In his Season 2 GTNH, Threefold did some stuff with like a subnet full of subnets, and he also used advanced stalking buses, which actually, let's see if they're here. No, okay. Well, let's see. Automatically stock the first 16 items in the ME system, updated every 5 seconds. Okay. So I guess this pulls everything? I don't know. He used like a stocking bus that pulled everything from the ME network into it, and used a bunch of subnets to move stuff around with storage buses. So he didn't actually have to use item pipes or anything. He had to use item pipes to port into the system, but he didn't have to use item pipes or other movement things between systems like I did. And while my system was quite robust, I think in how many items it could move around and how much it processed, I don't know, like 10,000 items a minute or something like that. It was crazy fast. It definitely, like, refiltering new things was an absolute pain in the ass. And it did make some things a little bit annoying. And the laser IO nodes were a little bit TPS hungry, I think. And they weren't too bad, but I did notice that at least the one that was pulling away from, that was exporting from the miner under chest was eating like almost a millisecond on its own by the end. But that's like, decisions to be made much later. Even the ore processing system I build next, whenever that does happen, after, rearranging the steam grinders and stuff, won't even be like the final version. I'm sure ore processing will be rebuilt 2 or 3 times over the course of the save. I think we're going to be spending a lot of time here, like close to like 1,000 hours between the two of us at least, I'm sure, if not longer. There's a lot to do, like, let's see, energy hatch, right? Now here, we'll just do 4A energy hatch. And UEV, we go all the way up to max, right? Like, they actually have max energy hatches. And in applied in an ATM applied energy, in ATM 9, max was kind of beyond the goal of what we were doing, so we never really built that. But our goal, I've mentioned it a little bit in the tree, is just to complete the pack. Like, not necessarily complete the quest book, though I assume completing, like, here it is, like, creative chest. Like, I want creative chest. I think this would be really cool. I don't know if I'll get there. I'm not, like, super, like, if I don't get there, like, my end, like, my world will end, and it'll be actually over for me. It's just, like, the goal is something like a North Star to help, light my way. Like, if I ever get lost and I don't know what to do, I can look at, like, okay, I want creative chest. What do I need to do to get there? And that will help figure, like, when I used to play before I set goals and stuff, before I really started doing progression logs, I would often just play packs because I would, want to have fun with them. And then I'd get to a point where I have a bunch of stuff, or I'd get lost and be like, well, I don't really know what to do now. And sometimes that would be sort of like the end of the pack, where I would just not really know what to do and just go do something else. So I think even having a goal, whether you will make it or not, is important to help you just continue playing. So I want creative chest. I don't know if we'll get there. I know it's going to take a lot of time if we do. But yeah, it'll be fun if we get there. And this base is going to be, I'm sure, absolutely gigantic. It's going to be, crisscrossing this ravine and stuff. We're going to build the command tower over there. I have to figure out how I want to cross over there already. We've got a lot of space to expand. It'll be really cool. We'll have like another bridge that goes over there maybe, or maybe we'll snake around and we'll put the bridge like over here or something. That could also be like pretty cool. I know we could have made a void base, and maybe at the end of the day, maybe we will have to end up moving to a void base. It's entirely possible, but I do want to spend some more time in the overworld. I spent a lot of time in void worlds, my computer, up until around ATM9, I didn't really have a good enough computer to run a lot of these high-end a lot of like, tech mod packs in overworld worlds. So I played a lot of Skyblock packs. Like Sky Factory 3, I've played like 4 times. Played Sky Factory 2, 2.5, 1. I didn't play Sky Factory 4. I didn't really like it very much. I'm gonna be real. I played Animator Chemistry like 4 times. So I played a lot of Sky Factory, a lot of like Skyblock or Void World-esque packs. So I kind of want to enjoy more time in the overworld. I spent more time in Void Worlds or Skyblock packs than I have spent in the overworld for Minecraft in general, I'm sure. I've spent a lot of time in Void Worlds. So it's nice to have some actual terrain to build around and, to work into each design, which will be cool. I'm hoping eventually to remove this horrible mess of a base, an excuse of a base too, so I can build some more stuff in that direction. But that won't happen for a little while. We do have, we have to build somewhere for EBFs, have to build somewhere for pyrolyze ovens. I need to expand the AE network as well and stuff. So I'm sure that's going to be a pain in the ass. We were thinking about, by the way, for power, we have Vibrant Alloy. We're using, Ender IO. We were pretty worried about using Ender IO. I've heard it's kind of sketchy sometimes, and then it can be annoying sometimes. Like it just won't work sometimes. As long as it seems like most of the issues are with item conduits and ME conduits, so we're not using any of those. Energy conduits, for the most part, seem to have been fine. So we're going to continue using energy conduits here instead of the other option would have been GregTech energy cables. And, the answer was, well, and people were like, well, if you have to, normally you can upgrade Ender IO energy cables by just right-clicking on them with the new one and it'll replace them. But in this pack, in this fork of Ender IO, it's kind of glitchy and you have to break and replace them anyway to upgrade them. And the other option we were going to be thinking about using was GregTech power cables. And the difference with that is you still have to break and replace them to upgrade them, but you also have cable loss. So in the end, we're going to be sticking with Vibrant, or just the energy conduits in general. If it does, annoy us to the point where it stops working, then I guess we can always swap over to GregTech energy cables at some point. But I think it'll be fine for now. Obviously, channels are off. It's Monifactory. That's by default. We're playing on the normal difficulty, I should say. Rather than like the harder versions or whatever. This is my first experience with pure GregTech, rather than ATM9's like I can just go crotch on something else. Like for power, it's mechanism. For base war production, also mechanism. So whenever mechanism is in a pack, you just kind of crotch on mechanism until you can do anything else, because mechanism is so cheap and so powerful for what it can do. Yeah. So I'm feeling pretty good so far about this base, about this save. I'm feeling very hopeful with it, and as I've mentioned in the clip, I graduated from college about 10 days ago, 9 at this point, I think. And so I am now, moved out of my college apartment, back home. Just gonna have to start looking for a job soon, probably Monday or whatever. So my free time will be, I don't really know what the free time will be like. I'm gonna be honest. I'll either have lots of free time as I don't have a job and will be sending out applications and then just waiting for them to come back, or I'll have no free time because I get a job very quickly and I will be working. Which ironically would be like the good ending, I think. As much as I like playing Minecraft and, having fun and playing video games, I like eating food and having a house and stuff. That would be cool. So it'd be nice to have a job. But I have a bachelor's in aerospace engineering now. I think they'll mail the diploma to me in a couple of weeks. So yeah, I am done with college, and it still really hasn't sunk in yet. I'm gonna be real honest with you guys here. This is like the rambling segment, by the way, or I'm just gonna talk and stuff. So if you're looking for more progression updates, this ain't it, Chief. This is me rambling about my life now. If you're interested in that for some reason. Anyway, so I'm done with college. I moved away from Boulder and I'm not going back, and it definitely hasn't sunk in yet. Part of me still thinks, like once winter break is over, I'm gonna fly back to Colorado and go back to my apartment and stuff. And even though I like very well also intellectually know that's the case, that I'm not going back, Like emotionally, I think it still hasn't set in yet. It's really funny. Like 2 days ago, I got woken up in the middle of the night by nightmares back to back of thinking I had forgotten like to do like to study for finals, and it was like, oh, by the way, are you ready for the 2 finals tomorrow? And I was like, wake up in a cold sweat or whatever. um, but I, yeah, I'm done. I spent more time in high school than I spent at Boulder. I spent 3.5 years at Boulder versus the 4 you do in high school. Um, and that kind of like blows me away because I remember obviously, obviously I remember more of college. That would just happened, and high school was a long time ago. um, Still, it's I don't know. I will miss parts of college. I really will. I'll miss, like the walkable area that Boulder was. Like the area I lived in Boulder was very walkable. I didn't really need. It was nice to have a car if you need. Like having a car was really nice, but I didn't really need one. If I could like 30, 40 minute walk to anywhere I really needed to go. Um, and I could get, I could order groceries and stuff too, which was nice. Safeway does, grocery delivery or whatever, and that's not too, it doesn't add too much onto the expense. More than I can carry anyway. Um, so, I will miss large parts of, the college experience. There will be parts of the college experience that I miss. Hanging out with my friends, not really having too much of a set schedule as long as you got your stuff done, I guess I couldn't really call them lazy weekends, given how much engineering. But, I enjoyed parts of college, and I will miss parts of it. Like I said, I'll miss I guess like the free spiritedness of it sometimes. It kind of felt like I could do whatever I want. If like it might have been like a bad decision to skip a homework assignment, or just skip class or whatever. But you could do that if you really felt like it. That won't be the case going forward. So I'm definitely going to miss that. But you know what I won't miss? I won't miss the exam cycle every 6 weeks. I won't miss feeling like the sky is going to, fall down on my head every 6 weeks because I have to cram for, 3 exams or whatever. I won't miss, finals, the final stress. I won't miss that. I won't miss like the ridiculous amounts of homework that they threw at us, or labs upon labs and labs, and projects and stuff. I won't miss that. But I think in general, I will miss more of college than I won't. And while I'm happy to be done now, uh, I think I'm gonna overall miss college. That being said, though, college is ultimately like a transient experience in your life. Unless you're like really, really into academia and you're wealthy enough to just stay there forever. Yeah, like college is all like education in general. I think like institutional education in general is ultimately a transient part of anyone's life, and it's just hard to like. I know I'm 24 years old. I'll be 25 in I don't know like 5 months or something like that, 5 6 months, and I've been in institutional education that my whole life, from pre-K to university, my bachelor's, and it's not out of the question if I'll go back for a master's. I might, if aerospace corporations sometimes, can and will pay for you to go get a master's in something. And I might take that. I might do that. Not for a couple of years though. I'm good, thanks. As much of in college as I enjoyed, I am happy to be done for at least a little while. I would like to try, going into the workforce and making some money and stuff, and seeing what life is like on the other side. I guess figuring out what it's like to be more or less a full-fledged adult, I guess, trying at least. Hopefully I'll be financially independent at some point in the near future. We'll see. I hope it won't be too long. But, you never really know what life is going to throw at you. So, the best we can do is just, stick with it as best we can and roll with the punches. Like, one of the most important skills I learned in college was, this wasn't always possible for me, but just to like force myself to stop worrying about stuff. Like, it's going to bed and your mind's racing, and part of me, like part of you wants to worry about this stuff because I don't know, it's cathartic maybe to feel worried about stuff. But you gotta fall asleep at some point. So one of the most important skills I learned was just to go, you know what, like trying to go to bed at night, it's like 2 in the morning or whatever, you throw your hands up and go, I can't worry about this right now, so fuck it. That I don't like the fuck it we ball mentality. I think is sometimes to your detriment, but also sometimes to the credit. I guess sometimes it's really just fuck it we ball, and you just gotta ball. All right. Well, I have definitely rambled uh, quite a lot, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this here for now. Um, I know this will be a day or two early compared to when they normally are. I imagine they'll go back to the normal-ish time. We'll have to see. Like I said, I may or may not have more free time, so we'll keep the schedule up in the air. I would expect them on Sundays, at the very latest. But yeah. All right, guys. I hope you guys have had a good week. My week's been really great. It was Christmas week, so I got a very cool Lego model. It was very fun. It took me like 2 days to build though. um, all right, guys. Well, I hope you guys had a good week, like a good Christmas and stuff. And I hope you guys have a good week and a happy New Year, actually. And I will see you all again next week.